Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of the Comic Call. I'm your host, Dylan Lang. Excuse me. God, that was disgusting. I hope that didn't turn anybody off. Not that anybody's watching anyway, but hey, that's all right. Anyway, my show, The Comic Call, is I'm a comic book collector. I have experience in comic book world. I worked at Diamond Comics as a customer service rep and as a brand manager for about 4 to 5 years. Longer than that, 2002, about 4 years. I worked at Diamond's Warehouse for a summer, and I've worked at a comic book store before. I also collect comics. I have a ton of them, and I know my way around the comics. I read a lot, and I buy a lot, which I shouldn't do, but I do anyway. And my main goal is to get more people to go into local comic book stores, and the way to do that is to show you the kind of stuff we got coming out this week and how it's not all just about superhero stuff like that. I'm going to point that out today. I also got some news I want to talk about at the end of the show. Just real quick things that kind of make me go, really? Just quick bam, 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 because you're not here to see that. You're here to, but it's still interesting stuff. You might want to hang on to see what it is. This one's okay. Mango lime. Yeah. Okay, anyway, without further ado, this week's Comic Haul is another big one. We see some returns of series. Well, a return of a series that I thought was done. Some new series. Some interesting stuff. And we'll discuss a little bit about cancellations. And we also get a Black Panther thing. Black Panther sighting. Black Panther, as I talked about last week, just wrecked the competition and became one of the highest grossing movies of all time. Well, it had one of the best opening weekend. It had the best opening weekend in February and one of the best opening weekends of a Marvel movie, blah, blah, so on and so forth. It's a great movie. Go check it out. So we got a little Black Panther in that. We got a little bit of Batman, a little bit of Superman, a little bit of Spider-Man. We got a little bit of everything, plus discussions of some stuff that's going to be getting canceled. There's a whole lot of stuff coming down the pipeline over the next few months for the comic world. That's going to be quite a bizarre scene. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about what's new in comic. This is still absolutely my favorite comic book of the last couple of years. This is Batman, written by Tom King. It's number 41. Begins a new story arc called Everybody Loves Ivy. It's drawn by Mikel Janin, who is a stunning artist. And for those who don't know, Bruce is engaged to Selena Kyle, Catwoman, so they're spending a lot of time together, obviously doing other things. And all kinds of stuff going on. And it's all due to Poison Ivy this time. Another gorgeous shot by Mikel Janin. Tom King's just killing it on this show. And Batman punches the Flash. Interesting. So another gorgeous 2-page spread of Ivy. So it's a gorgeous looking book. It's a well-written book, and I can't wait to read it. It's one of the only ones I'm really currently up to date on. So there's that. One of the first of the many number ones we have is Brave and the Bold, number 1, Batman Wonder Woman. This is a 6-issue miniseries. It's written and drawn by Liam Sharp. I think he also drew it. I think Fajardo is either his inker or let me see if I can find it. Liam Sharp, writer, artist, is the colorist. So, but it is a Brave and Bold was, for those who don't know, was basically DC's Marvel team up. Marvel team up with Spider-Man, always teamed up with another Marvel character. Brave and Bold was Batman's. Ooh, Wonder Woman was getting some sex also. Look at that. Wonder Woman and Batman both getting sex. Fantastic. That's Steve Trevor, by the way. And then, Liam Sharp has always done a good comic drawn anyway. So, excuse me. So, good stuff. But Brave and Bold was basically their version of Marvel Team Up, where Batman would team up with different people. Actually, I think Brave and Bold might have come before Marvel Team Up, but regardless, doesn't matter. Team Up books are always good. So this one's some sort of really weird fantasy type of story, but it's got Wonder Woman and Batman and drawn by Liam Sharp. It looks absolutely stunning, and I cannot wait to read this because it looks amazing. I highly recommend it. It's a number 1, so you probably don't really need to know anything. Just pick it up. It's going to be fantastic. Wonder Woman is also appearing in a miniseries where she works with Conan, and he and her are, this is the final issue. This is issue number 6 of the miniseries, written by Gail Simone, with art by Aaron Lopresti, who's one of those guys who's consistent, and inked by Matt Ryan. So it started off as mistaken identity. Conan thought that Wonder Woman was the girl he grew up with, but turns out it wasn't. But she feels guilty about abandoning him when it comes to taking on the bad guy, so she comes back and saves the day. So it's a Gail Simone written Wonder Woman and Conan book. Gotta love it. Gail Simone is going to be writing a look at that. It's not sex, but it's more kissing. Gail Simone is going to be writing a Tarzan and Red Sonja crossover coming up soon from Dynamite Comics, so that should be good. And Gail Simone is also going to be writing the Domino regular series, which I'm going to buy because it looks great, and Gail's writing it, so should be a lot of fun with that, and it's going to be in time for Deadpool and stuff like that, because Domino's in that one. We also have Batman in the Signal number 2, spinning out of metal. The Signal is Batman's new partner. So it's not a Robin, but it's something similar. It is written by Scott Snyder and Tony Patrick, with art by Cully Hamner. I remember Cully Hamner from when he did the fantastic Gerard Jones penned Green Lantern Mosaic storyline. Cully did the artwork for that. His style's changed a little bit, but it's still fairly similar. But you get a closer look at the Signal, who is Batman's new partner, who has been, made his first appearance in the Scott Snyder, obviously since he's writing this as well, saga. It's a 3-issue miniseries. I'll get the final issue. No harm, no foul. We also have Batwoman number 12 is out this week. This one is on the probably going to get rid of soon. It's hard to get rid of it because Marguerite Bennett's writing it, and I love Marguerite Bennett, but it's no longer drawn by, I forget the artist name, who I just love. But Scott Godlewski is the artist on this story arc, and we'll see what happens. As I said, I love Marguerite Bennett, and it's going to be hard, but I do have to make some cuts, and this might be one of the spots where I'm going to make the cut. So the artwork does look pretty good, and it is Marguerite Bennett, so we'll see. I'll probably still be getting Batwoman for a while, but if push comes to shove and I need to make some changes, that's probably going to be one I'm going to get rid of. But it doesn't mean it's not good. These are just my opinion. These are just my books. You might actually absolutely love Batwoman and might want to get all the issues and read it. By all means, go for it. I want you to at least go and check it out. That's why I'm showing it to you. So you need to go check it out, see if you like that kind of stuff. Now we get the Superman family. Superman number 41. I think this is the end of a 2-part series that's not written by Peter Tomasi and Patrick Gleason. Whenever they don't write the stories, they're not as good. This one's written by James Robinson with art by Ed Benes. The big news about Superman is in May, Brian Michael Bendis, who jumped ship from Marvel to DC, will be revamping the entire Superman series, every one of them. He's going to be doing a Man of Steel 6-issue miniseries, which is what John Byrne did when he took over Superman for the first time and revamped it. And then Bendis will be writing a Superman book. He will also be taking over Action Comics after issue 1000, which is going to be coming up in a couple weeks. So Bendis will be writing issue 1001. Now, the thing is, Superman's going to go on a hiatus. So the last few issues of Superman are coming up. Bendis, I think, takes over in May. So you still got March and April. So you got about 2, 4, maybe one more 6-issue miniseries, 6-issue storyline, or a 4-issue storyline, whatever. That will wrap up Tomasi and Gleason's run on Superman. And then what's going to happen then is, and then around that same time is when Action Comics 1000 is going to come out, which is a big deal because it's the first American comic to hit 1000, because British has 2000 AD has hit 1000 a long time ago. That's also weekly, so that's a different story. But in this case, after Tomasi and Gleason wrap up their Superman story and Action Comics 1000 comes out, you're not going to get a regular Superman in Action series until August, because you're going to have the 6-issue Man of Steel storyline that's going to go through the summer, that's written by Brian Michael Bendis, which is going to reset Superman continuity in his fashion to make it easier for him to take it over or whatever. I'm not saying he's going to be making lots of changes, but I'm just saying that that's the reason why he's doing it, so he can get, this is what I want done, and this is what I'm going to, and lay the foundation for a bunch of storylines that he's probably going to be working on down the line. So Bendis is one of the fastest working writers in comics. You're going to see a lot more Superman, and he's probably got storylines lined up for 10 years. So we'll see what happens, but enjoy it while you can. This is the beginning of the next 2 to 3 books. Well, I'll tell you what that means. Will not be around very soon. I am sad to see Super Sons going away, but we still got a few more issues left. This is Super Sons number 13, written by Peter Tomasi with art by Carlo Barberi. Brings in Talia al Ghul into the storyline, and also has Damian and John going to the same school now. So that's really cool. And Art Thibbert's doing the inks, so that's even better. Look at that Talia. Oh, it's gorgeous. Milfy almost. But some really gorgeous artwork. Carlo Barberi is really good. I'm going to show you that one shot right there of John's eyes. It's fantastic. So I love this book. Super Sons is fantastic, and I'm sad to see it go. So we'll see what happens. If Bendis is going to keep John around. He claims he's going to, but is he really? I don't know. But it's a shame because I like the Damian and John interaction. I think they're the best duo out there, and it's the perfect reimagining of World's Finest. And I hope we see something more with them down the line. Also being canceled soon, which is a shame, but it's kind of understandable, is Bombshells United. This is the DC comic series that takes place in an alternate dimension where all the women superheroes are fighting the war effort during World War II. Now remember, America was only in World War II from 1941, 1945. World War II basically kind of started around 37, 38-ish. So Bombshells has been out. They had about 50 plus issues in their first series, and now we're up to issue 12. We've still got a few more down the line to finish up the storyline, but to be honest, you know what? The war is going to be coming to an end soon. Now, does that mean there's not going to be any more Bombshells? I don't know. Marguerite Bennett, again, one of my favorite writers I talked about earlier, is writing this as well. And I love this take on these characters. It's a fantastic series, and it's one of the reasons why I really like Marguerite Bennett as a writer, is because of this book. So we'll see if she has plans past when this book gets canceled. The way it sounded right now, of all the stuff's getting canceled, Supergirl's getting canceled, which we don't have Supergirl this week. I don't think it's coming out for another month or so. So I didn't know it was going to be canceled when we showed it. I think it was either last week or the week before. So Supergirl's been canceled. Bombshell's been canceled. Super Sons has been canceled. There's been a bunch of other ones that have been canceled because they're going to be redoing some stuff. And I'll tell you about that with the next book. But this one, by Marguerite Bennett with art by, to be honest, I don't really like the art, but that's just my opinion. Where is the artist's name? Excuse me. Where did you put? I don't know if that's actually in here, so let me try to see if I can find it in here. I don't think it'd be this far in. Yeah, so I don't know who it is, but it's Bennett, Jarrell, and Fitzpatrick. A little bit more cartoony, but it doesn't matter because the storyline is good enough that you get a really interesting take on these DC superhero women, heroines, if you were, and some other characters. And you know, it's a fun series. It really is, and it's going to be a shame. It'd be nice to see what happens after the war's over, to see how they react to that and move on up through, you know, continue following the story. But probably not going to happen. Now, Justice League number 39. At the beginning of Christopher Priest's second story arc, with art by Ian Churchill. The reason why I bring this up also is because this book might not be long for the world either, which is the same because Christopher Priest just came on it. But Metal is going to be wrapping up next month, mid-month probably. And out of Metal, Scott Snyder has been given the keys to the Justice League. Now, again, as I said, Bendis has the Superman keys, and now Snyder has the keys to Justice League. Out of Metal, there's going to be like they're gonna cancel Justice League of America. I don't know if they're going to cancel this. They might, because they're going to create like 4 new Justice League teams. It's like Justice League Red, Blue, Yellow, Green, something like that. And it's going to consist of all kinds of different characters, and it's not just what you're expecting. I think Damian's on one of the teams. I think members of the Teen Titans are. I think members of the Titans are. I think Zatanna's on a team. I think Martian Manhunter's on a team. I think the bigwigs are spread out over these 4 teams. We don't really know a lot about the new Justice League stuff, but that's going to be coming out about probably April-ish, May-ish as well, right around the time that that Bendis takes over for Superman. So Justice League is going to get a revamp. So I don't know if this book is going to be canceled or not. Christopher Priest coming on board was a good idea, and I restarted buying it because of Christopher Priest. As I said, this is the beginning of a new story arc. Ian Churchill artwork, and it's always Priest brought back the blue Aquaman suit, which is crazy. But Christopher Priest is one of those great writers, and it's fun to see this kind of stuff. The only thing I don't like is his reaction of one of the Green Lanterns with Batman. So because Batman is with Catwoman and not her. So we'll see what happens. So there's that. So I don't know what's going to happen with that. You'll probably be seeing it in the future and on future episodes of the Comic Call, because I'll probably be picking up those books and showing them to you. Speaking of Green Lanterns, this book isn't really any danger of getting canceled. This is issue number 41 of Green Lanterns. It's written by Tim Seeley with art by Barnaby Bagenda and Tom Daranek with inks by Mick Gray and Daranek. So this is a good series as well. Good to see different Green Lanterns and a different take. Tim Seeley's been doing a different take on the Green Lantern, so it is totally different than the previous writer's take on it. So still worthwhile to check out. Ugh. Next up, I said I was going to retire after Palmiotti and Amanda Conner left, but I can't quit you, Harley Quinn, number 38. I swear it seems like they've released like 4 issues within 4 weeks, so it's almost like it's going weekly. Got the Frank Cho cover. I think it's fantastic with Killer Croc. Frank Thierry, who's taken over the writing of it, has ensconced Harley more into the world of Batman. Because there's Mr. Freeze, and Mr. Freeze. It's art by Mirka Andolfo and Alejandro Carlini. Marco Andolfo is one of the ones who writes, or who used to draw Bombshells as well. So I guess the reason why Marco's no longer on Bombshells because they're doing Thierry's Harley Quinn. Still not as crazy and sexy as Palmiotti and Connor's version of Harley Quinn. This one seems to be a bit more trying to get it ensconced into the world of Batman and Suicide Squad. So again, it's hard to quit her because Frank Thierry's a pretty good writer, and the artwork looks really nice. Still not Jimmy and Amanda, but still, it's all right. This one I'm pretty much going to drop, but I decided I want to get the second issue because the artwork is just so beautiful. And I wish he would be doing a different comic. But Damage number 2. This is the first of the new heroes coming out of Metal. And honestly, I read the first issue, and it's basically an Incredible Hulk ripoff for the most part. In this case, so instead of him getting mad and turning into a monster, the guy gets turned to a monster once an hour a day. So once a day for an hour, he gets turned to this monster called Damage. It's written by Robert Venditti, who I thought could do better than this. And I got the second issue just to get the second issue, but probably will not be picking up the third issue because there's just too much coming out. Silencer, which was another one of the new heroes, was actually really, really good. So I'm going to keep up with that one. There's the group that Ivan Reyes is doing the art for. I forget the name of it right now. their first issue is coming out next week, so you'll see that here on the Comic Con next week. But Tony Daniel, I love his artwork. I've always loved his artwork. He's the artist on Damage. And, you know, as I said, I'm just going to get this issue. And Danny Mickey did the inks. I'm just going to get this issue, and I'm probably going to stop getting it after that, because it's I'll read this too and see if it gets any better. But to me, it just seems like an Incredible Hulk redux, redo, rip off, whatever. Oof. Gorgeous Giganta, though. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, Brimstone's looks pretty good. He's coming up soon. He's not the one that's coming next week. Next week is one of the team books coming up. It was a gorgeous Wonder Woman, because Tony Daniel knows how to draw that stuff. So we'll see. But that's probably the last you're going to see of Damage on this show. It's just saying, because I like Robert Venditti on Green Lantern, and I like Tony Daniel. So I'll read it, and maybe in a month or so you'll see number 3. I doubt it. That's it for regular Marvel. So those are the superheroes. Now, another reason why I'm doing this show is try to get you all out there to get to the comic book stores and find something to get. So if you like superheroes, we got plenty of superheroes. And again, these aren't all the comics that came out this week. These are just the ones that I buy. There's a whole ton of them that came out this week. But comics are more than superheroes. And I'm going to show you a few examples. Well, one more here, and then a bunch when we get to independents, because the independents know how to do it better. This is from DC's Vertigo. It's called Deathbed, and it's written by Joshua Williamson with art by Raleigh Rosmo, and Ivan Plasenko, I think, did the colors. I will warn you, this is Vertigo, so it's a bit more mature readers. There's full frontal male nudity in it. Did not know it until I was looking through it. But it's basically, I think, a story about an adventurer who is on his deathbed, but comes back to life, or, you know, not comes back to life, but realizes that he's got one more adventure left in him or something like that. So he goes on an adventure. So it's going to be focusing on an older dude and the older woman, I guess, is his sister or something. But there is full frontal male nudity in this. Just be forewarned. And we'll see. It sounded interesting when I got it. Joshua Williamson is the writer of The Flash. So I wanted to see how that looks. So I'll get the first issue. I don't think it's a regular series. I think it's a mini series. Could be regular series. I don't know. But we'll see. I'll probably pick up I'll read this, and I'll probably pick up the second issue if I like it. We'll see. Young Animal is one of those things that drive me absolutely bonkers. I'll probably get a couple of the books that are coming out from when they do the revamp. Shade the Changing Woman, Eternity Girl, Cave Carson Has an Interstellar Eye, Mother Panic, Gotham AD 2, Gotham AD. Probably get those two, Shade the Changing Woman and Eternity Girl. I probably will not get. I might get the first issues, but we'll see. But this is the Young Animal DC Universe crossover, continuing the Milk Wars storyline. This is part 4. This is Swamp Thing and Cave Carson teaming up together. It's a pretty neat cover. I like it. It has all 52 of the on this map right here, all 52 of the alternate dimensions that are in the DC universe. However, looking into it, I'm not a fan of the artwork. It's written by John Rivera, who writes Cave Carson, and it's drawn by, let's see if I can find, drawn by Langdon Foss, which is, it's a kind of a weird style, and not sure if I'm that big of a fan of it. It's very kind of cartoonish, but I'm getting the whole Milk War storyline and stuff like Cave Carson and Swamp Thing. So there's only one more left. I think it's Doom Patrol and Justice League, and that comes out next week, and then we're done with the Milk Wars, and then they're going to start Young Animal over again. So now it's interesting because Young Animal was doing Doom Patrol, and they're not doing Doom Patrol anymore. It's not part of the books that are coming back out. But the Doom Patrol has been cast in the new Titans series. It's going to be on TNT, I think, probably this fall. So who knows? Maybe this fall we'll get a new one. That's it for DC. So as I said, Deathbed was one of those different ones. It was about an adventurer, not a superhero, but an adventurer going on one last adventure type of thing. So now for Marvel, I only got a couple books because I'm cutting down my Marvel like crazy, though there's going to be a few that are popping up here and there that I'm going to get it periodically. I wasn't going to get this one originally, but I saw the movie. I liked the movie, but that wasn't the reason why I got it. The reason why I got it is because there's 3 stories written by 3 of the greatest Black Panther writers of all time. This is Black Panther Annual #1. I wish Mark Teixeira was doing the artwork for one of them, but he's not. Not there's anything wrong with Mike Perkins, Daniel Acuna, and Ken Lashley. They all do really good stuff. But there are 3 stories. Christopher Priest, who is writing the Justice League and Deathstroke for DC, he had a good run on Black Panther. He comes back and writes the first story with art by Mike Perkins. Don McGregor wrote Black Panther in the 70s and one of the greatest Black Panther stories of all time, Panther's Hunt. He's doing another story for that with art by Daniel Acuna. And then the last one is Reginald Hudlin also did a big run on Black Panther. I've actually got 2 of the 3 complete collections of Reggie's books, and I'm rereading that stuff because I like that stuff. He's the one that married Black Panther and Storm, and that's art by Ken Lashley. So I will show you. So this is Mike Perkins and Christopher Priest's Black Panther story. Pretty interesting. And there's your Black Panther. And this would be perfect if you saw the Black Panther movie. I mean, this is, you don't need to be reading the current comic to understand this. Don McGregor, as I said, he wrote Panther's Hunt, which is one of the greatest stories from the 70s. And this is art by Daniel Acuna. Looks pretty good. So you don't need to have read the the current Black Panther book. If you saw the movie and you want to know more about Black Panther, this is probably the best book for you, and it came out this week. So go to a comic book store now this week and pick it up. And then here is Reggie Hudlin's and Ken Lashley's storyline, which takes place in the future. So, I mean, if you do like it, see, here we go. Here's they also offer the collections of Priest's, Reggie's, and Dan's stuff that they have. Lockjaw's coming out next week. So if you saw the Black Panther movie, or you saw it already and you want more Black Panther, or you're going to see it this weekend and you loved it and you want to get more Black Panther, or you want to prep yourself before you see it, get the annual. Go to a comic store, get the annual. It's 3 stories. You don't need to know what's going on with any of the other Black Panther stuff. It's Black Panther. And it looks good. Amazing Spider-Man, number 796. 5 more issues left, and Dan Slott's out of here after 10, 15 years of writing Spider-Man. It's a pretty cool Alex Ross cover. Probably be the cover of the week for me, to be honest. This is already sold out at Diamond, so I'm glad I got it because they'll be going second print on this in no time. It's continuing the Threat Level Red storyline, which is going to lead to the final story arc. It's written by Dan Slott and Christos Gage with art by Mike Hawthorne. Terry Powell and Cam Smith are the inkers. Now, what's interesting about this, and I need to make this little comment too. Here's Anti-Venom. What I think Dan Slott's doing is when Dan Slott took over Amazing Spider-Man, it was right after they dissolved Peter and MJ's marriage, and through a god-awful storyline, because they wanted Peter to be single and go lucky and do all that stuff. Well, other people like to see MJ and Peter together. So Dan Slott was one of the guys that was writing those stuff, and he continued that story arc with Brand New Day and stuff like that, and that was his first storyline. So now what it looks like is Dan Slott is making maybe some not retribution, but is trying to get back into the good graces of people, because Peter and MJ meet again, and yeah, let's just read some of the stuff off. So let me see. Hey, I said, old habits, not bad, was MJ. Not bad ones. Have to admit, I've kind of missed this. Peter says, me too, all of it. So what did we used to do next? Peter's like, dinner, my treat, we could go out, or in's nice. I like in, says Mary Jane, and clicks the door. So I think Peter and MJ are going to be getting back together. They're going to be having sex at least. So I think he's trying to bring them back together as sort of a nice little loop, because when he started, he was part of the team that broke them up, and now he's trying to bring them back together after 10, 15 years apart. So we'll see what happens, and we'll see if that whoever is going to take over the writing of Amazing Spider-Man will continue with that story thread. So here's the funny thing. I'm fitting all the news stuff in here, so there's only one or two more things I'll probably talk about after the show. So that's it for Marvel. Next up is the Independents. Now, last week I showed new issue of Kick-Ass. Or was that 2 weeks ago? It doesn't matter. It was a new issue of Kick-Ass, new series of Kick-Ass. Well, new issue of Hit Girl also is out. Hit Girl #1, written by Mark Millar, with art by Ricardo Lopez Ortiz. It's a 4-issue miniseries. So we'll see what happens. So if you like Kick-Ass, you probably like Hit Girl. So now we're going to find a little bit more about Hit Girl and stuff like that. So this is out this week. And again, this is superhero-esque, but not really. Next up we have, this is comic book related, but not really superhero-esque. This is the comic book history of comics. Manga. This is issues about manga. This is issue #3. I love this series because I'm a history major and I'm a comic book fan. And this is both the history of comic books in comic format. And then I just saw this. G.I. Joe versus the $6 Million Man is coming up soon, too. So I think that's next week also. Fred Van Lent and Ryan Dunleavy. Fred Van Lent is the writer and Ryan Dunleavy is the artist. This issue details the origins of and how manga came to be and its popularity and how it skyrocketed and then made into movies and stuff like that. It's a great take on how comic book history is. I have the trade of the first series. This is the second series. I would probably get the trade of the second series because it's important to see the history of comics and how they're made. Speaking of history, Matahari #1. Now, I wasn't going to pick this up, but then I saw what it was about. I was like, I don't really know a lot about Matahari, and Dark Horse does some pretty good stuff. And it's a history about Matahari. So this is going to take a look at Matahari, and you learn a little bit more about her history. It's written by Emma Beebe with art by Ariella Christiantina. This one does have nudity as well because Matahari was kind of like a prostitute-esque type of mystery woman, so I couldn't show you the first few pages because there's nudity on it. But this details the history of Matahari. It's a mini-series, and I think I'll take a look at it because I don't really know that much about Matahari, so... but she was a real person, and this comic is going to be talking about. So again, it's not just about superheroes. This is about Matahari. If you're interested in this or never thought you would take a look at the artwork or whatever, might be interested in the history. It's a mini-series. We got to lose. Dynamite's been doing a good job with the ladies. Red Sonja's newest issue, #13, written by Amy Chu, with art by Eric Burnham. Script by Eric Burnham and art by Carlos Gomez. This looks like this is a flashback because Red Sonja is presently in present day. And so this might just be sort of a flashback story that might play out eventually down the line. But you got to love it because a big-bosomed, hot chick who fights and kicks ass, gorgeous artwork, and written by Amy Chu, a female. So, and it's, all about, stuff like that. So they've been doing a good job with the ladies, because they've also done a good job with Vampirella. Now, this isn't the cover I wanted. This is the only one they had left. It's not my favorite. And this is also one of those books I'm probably going to be quitting on because I thought Paul Cornell was going to continue writing the whole series, but he didn't. The second story arc is written by Jeremy Whitley with art by Andy Belanger, Matt Gualdo, and Alex Sanchez. But Vampirella is definitely different here. This is a more updated version of Vampirella than she was in the old days with her really, really racy costume. This one is not quite as racy, though it's racy enough. So we'll see what happens. But let me see if I can actually find the cover that I really liked, because this is one I really wanted. They usually have them all in the back here, but I don't think they're going to do it now. Yes, they are. Okay. I wanted the Philip Tan one really badly. That one right there. I thought that was gorgeous. But, you know, this is how Vampirella's old costume used to be. So, Domino number 1. Interesting. Well, so there's that. Sex Criminals number 22. Again, those two are like fantasy and horror. This one is more of a amalgamation of stuff. Again, mature readers, duh. Written by Chip Zdarsky, or written by Matt Fraction with art by Chip Zdarsky. I don't think in this one there is any. No, there's a little bit of nudity. Okay, there's nudity and sex in this one because the whole premise is basically whenever you climax, there are groups of people out there who can go when they climax from sexual activity. They can stop time and walk around and nobody else can see them. They can do things. So this has been a pretty interesting series. It's taking a dark turn now, but it is sexy. It is mature readers, duh, but it's a good series. And again, something that comics aren't just for kids. That's a grown-up book. And it's a good story, and it's completely different than what you're expecting to see anywhere else. You're into horror also. I like this horror book, so I'll see how long I keep it, but this is an awful cover, but it's Kelly Jones. Pumpkinhead number 1 from Dynamite. It's written by Cullen Bunn. Gotta love Cullen Bunn. Art by Blackie Shepard. And then there's a backup story written by Cullen Bunn with art by Kyle Stram. So it's a horror book. Cullen Bunn is the writer, and Pumpkinhead is one of those crazy demonic creatures that's really interesting. So if you're into horror, again, this is a good one. If you like the movie Pumpkinhead and Pumpkinhead 2, and go for it because, hey, there he is. And then there's the backup, which is 2 pages there. So again, for everybody. Another one from Dynamite. Battlestar Galactica versus Battlestar Galactica. It's written by Peter David with art by Johnny Desjardins and Mohan. Is a colorist. So basically, Peter David is saying, what if the original 1970s Battlestar Galactica met up with and took on the 2000 version of Battlestar Galactica? It's a great idea, and so it's a 6-issue miniseries. So you gotta love it. So and it's Peter David, so can't beat that. So again, you know, if you like, as I said, licensed stuff, Battlestar Galactica. There was a Xena comic that came out last week, Pumpkinhead. A Jeepers Creepers comic is coming out soon. John Wick has a comic. You know, next week Labyrinth comes out, the David Bowie book, which I think my friend Heather is going to really enjoy. Now this book, this first 6 issues came out probably about 6 months to a year or so ago, and I thought it was done, but it's not. Moonshine is back, number 7. Again, this is a different take. It's written by Brian Azzarello with art by Edward Riso. It's a combination of a 1920s gangster story and werewolves. Gorgeous artwork by Edward Rizzo, and Brian Azzarello is fantastic writer. But you know, they mesh very well together. But it's gorgeous artwork, and it's gangsters and it's werewolves, and you just can't go wrong. And the artwork is phenomenal, and the storyline is really interesting and different. Again, a different thing to look at. Finally, I wasn't going to pick this up. I figured, why not? The Further Adventures of Nick Adams. It's a story about a has-been actor who played a superhero who's trying to come back. It's written by Edward Goratsky and Mark Andreyko with art by Steven Sadowski. It's edited by Shannon Eric Denton, who's a friend of mine from when I worked at Diamond, so I'm helping him out with that as well. Different take on it. It's only a 5-issue miniseries, so we'll see if I'll probably continue collecting it and see how good it is. But again, it's a different storyline. It's not about a superhero. It's about an actor who played a superhero and his adventures. That's it for my haul. Real quick, the news. Marvel is going and doing another reboot again. They just did the legacy stuff like not 6 months ago. Now they're doing the new age of Marvel with a new Avengers and Black Panther and all this stuff. So it's just sort of like, oh, please, would you just stop? That was really about it I want to talk about. So I'll talk about that more on my other show. I have another show called Dylan Knows. I'll probably talk about it in about 2 weeks. Dylan Knows is a weekly show I do. Tomorrow is my next episode. It's my top 10 list with my co-host Sherry Fletcher. We're going to be talking about the top 10 worst chemistry between characters in movies, TV, or books. So stay tuned for that. 9:30 p.m. tomorrow, Saturday. Go to your local comic book store. Buy comics. As I said, there's superheroes. They're hard. There's licensing. There's gangster ones. Black Panther. You know, all kinds of craziness. And that's just, as I said, this is tip of the iceberg. There's a whole ton of other stuff out there. There's a whole bunch of Marvel comics I didn't get. X-Men and Avengers and stuff like that are all going crazy like that. Other DCs I didn't get. Aquaman came out this week and some other stuff. I'm dropping that as well because the artist I like hasn't been on it. Stefan Sedgwick hasn't been doing it for a while. So if he comes back on, maybe I'll pick it up then. But right now, I need to save my money because I bought all that other stuff. And there's a whole bunch of other stuff from Image and other independent books as well. Check it out. If you don't know where your local comic book store is, go to your search engine, type in Comic Shop Locator Service or CSLS. When the search comes up, click on it, go to the website. On the right-hand side, you will see a place to put your zip code. You put your zip code, boom. All the comic book stores within a 20-mile radius of your zip code will be right there. They have directions. They'll probably connect you to their websites if you want to see what they're doing. Special offers like my comic book store, Cars, Comics, and Collectibles up the street now, is doing tomorrow and Sunday is 50% off of basically everything and like 20% off of back issues. So they do that kind of stuff. So if you need to pick up some trades and stuff like that, go on the weekends. You can pick up some good stuff for half price. You can get 2 for the price of 1, basically. I'm out. Buy comics. Watch Dylan Knows tomorrow, 9:30 p.m. Buy comics. Bye.